Have you ever found yourself just swimming in information about well-being? Maybe chasing the latest trend only to feel, well, more fragmented than whole?
Yeah, or maybe you're just looking for something deeper, right? Like
Okay.
insights that really connect the dots.
Exactly. If that sounds like you, then welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really embarking on a journey, exploring a truly holistic approach to wellness, one that deeply connects the mind, the body, and the spirit.
And for this deep dive, our guide really is some incredibly insightful work from Dr. Nader Attalla. We're looking specifically at Chapter 1 from his work, which is called The Interconnected Web of Wellness.
The interconnected web of wellness.
Yeah, and it just lays out this powerful framework, almost you could say revolutionary for understanding ourselves.
Okay, so our mission today then is to unpack Dr. Atalla's vision here. We want to pull out the key nuggets, the knowledge that shows just how deeply woven together our physical, our psychological, social, and spiritual sides really are. So prepare for maybe some aha moments. And I think
Right.
really a lot of actionable insights you can apply in your own life, moving hopefully beyond that sort of fragmented approach to something more integrated.
Absolutely. A sense of wholeness.
All right, let's begin. Let's unpack this foundational idea first. Dr. Attalla kicks things off with this really compelling concept. Viewing our well-being not as, separate parts and silos,
Right.
but as this interconnected web. What does that central idea truly mean for how we see our health?
Well, what's really insightful, I think, is the metaphor he uses, this idea of roots and flowering. He suggests that by really attending to our physical needs, things like good nutrition, moving our bodies,
Basics.
the basics exactly, and also nurturing our psychological and social needs.
Yeah.
We're essentially building these strong foundational roots.
Okay.
And the amazing thing, as he describes it, is when these roots are strong and healthy, spiritual growth it's allowed to flower naturally.
Huh.
Like it just happens. Almost inevitably, yeah. It's a beautiful consequence. So it's not just about checking boxes in each area.
Yeah.
It's about understanding and really fostering their synergy, how they work together, this whole living system.
So not just like one thing supports another in a straight line, but it's more dynamic, a constant interplay.
Precisely, yeah. The core idea Dr. Attalla talks about is what he calls a mutually reinforcing cycle.
Okay. Mutually reinforcing.
Meaning, when you improve in one area, say your physical health,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't just stay there. It naturally, almost automatically enhances the others.
Right.
It's this continuous feedback loop. So for instance, the source gives this great example. When your body feels genuinely vital, maybe because you've been eating well, moving consistently,
Mm-hmm.
your mind actually becomes clearer, more focused, and interestingly, more receptive to maybe deeper spiritual insights. It's like the internal static just clears out.
That makes so much sense. It's like tuning an instrument, isn't it? So it plays a richer, fuller sound.
Exactly that. Or think about another example he gives. Supportive relationships. Those really strong social connections. They actually expand your capacity for things like hope and love. Fundamental human experiences.
Yeah.
When you feel seen, understood, truly supported, it builds this inner resilience that just spills over into everything else. It bolsters your mental, even your physical strength.
Okay.
And then flip it around. When your spiritual life gives you a clear sense of meaning, of purpose,
Yeah.
that acts like a compass, it guides your choices, so you naturally start making decisions that support your physical and emotional health.
Because you see how they connect to that bigger picture.
Precisely. You're more likely to eat well, move, manage stress, because you see how it aligns with your deeper purpose. It's a beautifully holistic, self-sustaining system. Each bit empowers the next.
So for someone listening who feels like, their well-being is just this constant uphill battle, maybe a bunch of separate problems they're trying to fix, this framework sounds, well, truly transformative. And the source mentions, Dr. Atalla's work came from seeing thousands of individuals discover this interconnected web, often with results that surprised both them and their healthcare providers.
Right.
It suggests it's less about a quick fix and more like a fundamental shift in how we see things, a paradigm shift.
And that leads right into a really vital question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If this kind of transformation is possible, where do you even start? How do you begin that journey?
Yeah.
The source is clear. The path isn't always easy. It's definitely not always straightforward or linear, but Dr. Attalla assures us it's always worth taking. And maybe even more importantly, he stresses, you don't have to take it alone.
Oh, that's crucial.
It really is. This isn't some solitary quest for self-improvement you have to tough out by yourself. Just acknowledging that support is available and actually vital. That sets the stage perfectly for us to explore each of these interconnected domains.
Okay. Where do we begin?
Starting with the foundation, the first root,
Yeah.
our physical needs.
Right. Let's delve into that first root then, our physical needs. The author paints such a vivid picture, imagining your mind as a garden that flourishes only when planted in well-nourished soil. And that soil, he says, is our physical well-being. That's a really compelling way to put it, that direct link.
It really is. And if you step back and look at the bigger picture, that analogy just perfectly highlights how foundational our physical health is. It underscores that these elements we often think of as purely physical. Regular exercise, getting enough sleep, nourishing food, sometimes even medication.
Right.
They aren't just about keeping the body running in isolation. They are directly, intrinsically foundational to our mental wellness. Without that healthy soil that mind garden just serves, it can't thrive.
Yeah.
And the source specifically points to movement. It calls it a transformative element, setting it apart as particularly powerful here.
Okay. Movement. And this is where it gets, well, quite remarkable, doesn't it? Why does physical activity often feel like a superpower? The source talks about an internal pharmacy of natural chemicals. Can you unpack that a bit? It almost sounds too good to be true.
It does, doesn't it? But it's real. When we get moving, our bodies literally unlock this cascade of incredible benefits. And yes, it really is like an internal pharmacy. As Dr. Attalla describes it, our bodies release endorphins. These flood us with feelings of joy, creating this natural mood lift that can be just incredibly powerful. And beyond that, our systems also make these naturally occurring cannabinoid-like compounds.
Like the runner's high?
Exactly. That's what contributes to that runner's high, that feeling of euphoria, reduced pain. It rivals any artificial mood booster. It's just amazing proof of our body's own built-in regulation.
So it's way more than just a quick mood boost then. It's deeper than that.
Oh, far more. The source details this really broad impact. It calls movement a master key for addressing, well, nearly every mental health challenge you can imagine.
A master key. Wow.
Yeah. It goes beyond just lifting the fog of depression or quieting that constant chatter of anxiety. Though it does those things too, Dr. Attalla has seen it provide real, profound help for patients managing just a huge range of conditions. Things like eating disorders, bipolar conditions, even schizophrenia, addiction recovery, the complexities of grief, relationship turmoil, early dementia challenges, personality disorders.
That's an incredible range.
It's astonishingly versatile
Yeah.
and accessible. It's such a key tool in the mental health toolkit, precisely because its effects are so fundamental and broad.
That's a profound point. It suggests it's not just slapping a Band-Aid on, but getting to something really fundamental in our system.
It is fundamental because the benefits are truly transformative, not just palliative, not just masking symptoms. Physical activity literally breathes energy into days that might otherwise feel heavy, tired. It actively melts stress away, like you can almost feel it dissolving.
Yeah.
And it deepens our capacity for genuine, restorative relaxation. Patients consistently report sharper thinking, crucial for cognitive function, better memory. And surprisingly, creative insights seem to flow more easily too.
Huh. Creativity too.
Yeah. And maybe the most precious benefit of all, Dr. Attalla's patients often talk about a rekindled enthusiasm for life itself.
Wow.
This isn't just about feeling better. It's about living more fully, engaging with the world with renewed energy. So, given that huge list of benefits, it's really no surprise Dr. Attalla considers physical activity among the most powerful prescriptions in my mental health toolkit. It truly is a superpower we all have access to.
That's incredibly inspiring. But, for many people listening, the immediate question is probably, okay, how much movement, how much do I actually need to do to get these amazing benefits? Do we all need to suddenly become marathon runners or spend hours in the gym every single day? Because that idea alone can feel like a massive barrier.
That is such a critical question for actually applying this, isn't it? Because exactly that perception that you need to be some elite athlete often stops people before they even start.
Right.
The really encouraging news, though, from the research highlighted in the source is you don't need to become a marathon runner to see significant transformation. That's crucial for making this accessible and sustainable for everyone.
Okay, that's a relief already. So what is the sweet spot then? What does the research say is like the minimum effective dose to start seeing real change?
The source is pretty clear here. Research consistently shows that just 30 minutes of daily movement can dramatically shift emotional landscapes.
30 minutes of it.
Which isn't a huge chunk of time when you break it down, right?
Yeah.
Maybe 2 15-minute walks or one dedicated half-hour activity. But even more importantly, the research shows that even 10-15 minutes creates measurable positive change.
10 to 15, really?
Really. And that is incredibly empowering because it means even on your absolute busiest days, you can still get some benefit. It doesn't have to be this huge monumental effort to actually work.
That certainly is a relief. 10 or 15 minutes. Almost anyone can find that. But what about the type of movement? Does it have to be intense cardio? Or can it be something, more enjoyable? Because let's be honest, for some people, the word exercise just sounds like punishment.
Yeah, that's another key point. According to Dr. Attalla and what his patients found, the key isn't necessarily the intensity, it's consistency, and maybe most importantly, enjoyment.
Enjoyment. Okay.
The source emphasizes that the right activity isn't the one that leaves you totally wiped out or helps you win a race. It's the one that calls you back again and again because it makes you feel more alive.
Ah, finding what calls you back.
Exactly. Patients find peace and benefits in so many ways. Some love the flow of yoga or tai chi. Others connect through dance or even gardening, which can be surprisingly physical.
Oh, yeah, gardening gets you moving.
Definitely. Some prefer weightlifting, others the fun of team sports. The variety is endless. It's really about finding what resonates with you, what makes moving a joy, not just another chore on the list.
Okay, so movement. Transformative, doesn't need huge time commitments, can actually be fun. Got it. But here's the big hurdle for so many of us. How do we stay motivated? When the couch has that undeniable gravitational pull, the source calls this finding your movement momentum. How do we overcome that initial inertia, especially when life gets hectic?
Right, the couch gravity. And this is where clever strategy really beats relying on sheer willpower, which, let's face it, often runs out.
Yeah, tell me about it.
The source offers some brilliant ideas. First, it encouraged us to totally reimagine exercise. Don't think of it as just another chore on that endless to-do list. Instead, see it as a gift you're unwrapping for yourself.
Ooh, I like that. A gift.
Yeah. When you shift your mindset from obligation to an opportunity for self-care and actual joy, it changes everything internally. The advice is specifically pick activities that spark joy, things that make you forget you're technically exercising because you're just having fun. That intrinsic motivation is way more sustainable than any external pressure.
That's a really powerful way to reframe it. If it feels like a gift, you naturally want to open it.
Absolutely. And then, the source suggests, multiply that enjoyment. Invite a friend, your partner, maybe a colleague to join you. There's something almost magical about shared commitment.
Accountability buddies.
Kind of, yeah. But more supportive. On those days when your own motivation dips, their energy can pull you through, and you'll do the same for them. It builds this natural support system that reinforces consistency without feeling like pressure.
That's really smart accountability, but lighter. And then there's this other idea about flipping the script entirely.
Yes. Instead of thinking about movement as something I need to do, like paying taxes or doing laundry, the source advises us to embrace it as an expression of who you're becoming.
Who you're becoming. Okay.
It shifts it from being just a task to being part of your identity, a reflection of your evolving self. So every step, every stretch, it's seen as actively building the foundation for your evolving self. Physically, mentally, emotionally, it connects the action to your personal growth story, which is incredibly motivating.
But what about those really practical barriers? Like someone's thinking, okay, great, but I don't have the money for a gym, or I literally have no time with kids and work. The source addresses those, right? They're not just excuses.
Exactly. They're real challenges. And it offers some really elegant solutions. For a tight budget, Dr. Attalla points out there are countless free movement opportunities. Think about hiking trails maybe right near you, impromptu dance parties in your living room.
Kitchen disco.
Totally. Or just the huge amount of free guided fitness stuff on YouTube. You really don't need expensive gear or memberships to get started. And for those genuinely pressed for time, especially parents juggling careers, the suggestion is to transform family time into moving time.
Oh, integrate it.
Yeah. Toss a ball at the park, have silly dance competitions in the kitchen with the kids, take evening walks where you just explore together. It weaves movement into your existing life rather than trying to carve out totally new time slots, which feels less like another burden.
And this idea of success guaranteed goals sounds particularly good for anyone just starting out or maybe starting again after stopping. What does that look like?
These are basically gentle invitations, not big dramatic promises you might break. Dr. Attalla saw patients totally change their relationship with movement by setting goals that were almost impossible not to achieve.
Okay, like what?
Not run a marathon next month, but super modest steps. Walk around the block today, stretch for 5 minutes tomorrow. Tiny things.
Okay, small wins.
Exactly. The core principle here, which is so empowering, is that the movement that actually happens, however modest, always trumps the perfect workout that never begins.
Right. Getting started is key.
It emphasizes progress over perfection. It makes consistency feel realistic, achievable for everyone. You get that sense of success right from day one, which builds momentum.
Okay, shifting gears now. From movement to stillness, the source then dives into the nighttime symphony, sleep hygiene. And it asks, have you ever noticed how a single night of poor sleep can transform your steady mind into an emotional roller coaster? That's something most of us know firsthand, right? That immediate impact.
Oh, absolutely. And what's really fascinating here is how the source frames sleep. It's not just passive rest. It's described as a deep biological necessity, your body's sacred restoration ritual, a complex biological symphony playing throughout the night.
A symphony, wow.
Yeah, it's not a luxury. It's fundamental maintenance for our entire system. It directly impacts every other part of our well-being.
So it's way beyond just feeling tired or groggy the next day. There's deeper, critical stuff happening.
Absolutely. While you're sleeping, your body is doing this extraordinary repair work at a cellular level. The source explains that hormones like melatonin are flowing, actively strengthening your immune system, healing the microscopic wear and tear from daily life and stress.
Microscopic wear and tear.
Yeah. So when sleep suffers, that whole delicate repair process just stumbles. It leaves your body and mind vulnerable to illness, dysfunction. It affects everything from physical resilience to emotional regulation. It's a critical nightly reset, repair, and regeneration time. And it's not just physical repair. Your internal timekeeper, your circadian rhythm, is carefully orchestrating this whole nightly renewal.
The body clock.
Exactly. This rhythm syncs your internal world with the sun cycle, aligning your biology with a 24-hour day. When that rhythm gets knocked out of step, research consistently shows the problems go way beyond just feeling tired in the morning.
Yeah.
The risk goes up, not just for physical issues, but critically, for mental health challenges, particularly depression. Your brain's emotional regulation centers really depend on that consistent rhythm to work properly. So disrupting it can have these profound long-term effects on your mood, your clarity, your emotional stability.
Okay, so if sleep is this vital, complex symphony, how do we get better at conducting it? The source offers 6 paths to restorative rest. Let's unpack those. These sound like really practical ways to improve something so fundamental.
They are. These 6 paths are definitely practical, evidence-based strategies. They're designed to help you optimize your sleep environment, your habits, essentially helping you become a more skilled conductor of your own internal sleep symphony. Okay, so the first path is to embrace your personal sleep rhythm. While, yeah, most adults do well on 7 to 8 hours, the source really emphasizes listening to your own body. Pay attention to what feels right for you.
Right, we're all a bit different.
Exactly. And crucially, consistency becomes your greatest ally. Think of your bedtime and your wake-up time as sacred appointments with yourself. Try to keep them within about an hour's window, even on weekends. That really helps lock in your circadian rhythm, making it easier for your body to know when it's time to sleep.
Even on weekends. Oof, that's the tough one.
It is, but it makes a difference. And there's also a really gentle but effective rule for insomnia here.
Yeah.
If you're lying awake for, say, 20 minutes, leave your bedroom.
Get out of bed.
Yeah. This helps your brain associate your bed only with sleep, not with the frustration of being awake. Go do something quietly soothing elsewhere. Read a real book, listen to calm music, then only go back when you actually feel sleepy. It patiently retrains your brain to see the bed as a place for rest.
That's a great tip. It breaks that anxiety cycle around not sleeping, which is so common.
It really is. Okay, path number 2. Transform your bedroom into a sleep sanctuary. Ask yourself, could your bedroom pass the cave test?
Cave test, okay.
Meaning, the ideal sleep space, like our ancestors might have had, is cool, dark, and quiet.
Right.
Modern life often fights against that, right? So you have to intentionally create it. Think about room darkening shades, maybe a sleep mask to block light, and maybe even more critical, banishing the blue light from smartphones, tablets, computers, and that crucial wind-down hour before bed.
Oh, the screens.
The screens. Dr. Attalla recommends a 30-minute digital sunset before bed. Screens off, gentler activities start. And speaking of gentler activities, pre-sleep rituals are key. Like a warm Epsom salt bath, maybe some chamomile tea, deep breathing exercises. These are like deliberate invitations to your body's natural sleep mechanisms, signaling it's time to wind down.
I can definitely relate to that digital sunset idea. It's hard to stick to sometimes, but I know it helps quiet the mind. How many of us scroll right up until we turn the light off?
Way too many. Okay, path 3. Release the grip of stimulants. That afternoon coffee might seem helpful, but its effects can disrupt sleep for up to 12 hours, messing with your sleep architecture, especially those deep restorative stages.
12 hours, wow.
Yeah. Nicotine also keeps your nervous system on high alert, and alcohol. Well, it might initially ease you into slumber, but it betrays you in the night. It fragments the deeper sleep phases, leading to less restful sleep. Also, your midnight stomach state matters. Being too hungry or having a big late meal doesn't promote quality rest. So being mindful of what and when you consume is key.
So again, what you do during the day directly affects your night. That interconnectedness theme again.
Exactly. Path 4 is reimagine your relationship with naps. Naps can be helpful, but they can also mess things up. They can be sleep-supportive friend or its evening enemy.
Friend or enemy? Okay, how do you make it a friend?
It's all about timing and duration. If you need a nap, keep it short, 20 to 30 minutes maximum, and make sure it's finished well before late afternoon. That's the sweet spot that refreshes you without stealing from your night's sleep treasury.
That's really helpful because, yeah, a late or long nap can definitely ruin nighttime sleep, creating that awful tired cycle.
For sure. Path 5. Move your body, prepare for rest. The source notes how physically demanding days often lead to deeper sleep. That's not a coincidence. Regular movement creates that healthy physical fatigue, the good kind that preps your body for deep rest.
But timing matters here too, right?
Timing matters. Vigorous evening exercise can leave you physiologically revved up right when you're trying to wind down. So morning or midday movement usually gives you the benefits without interfering with bedtime. You burn energy earlier and your body naturally winds down later. And finally, path 6, which so many of us wrestle with, quiet the mental chatter. Head hits the pillow and suddenly your mind is racing with worries, to-do lists.
The racing mind, yeah.
This mental buzz is sleep's subtle enemy. It keeps your brain switched on when it needs to switch off. So the source recommends creating intentional worry release rituals. This could be meditation, journaling, literally getting concerns out of your head and onto paper, or rhythmic breathing.
Like specific breathing techniques.
Yeah, things like extended exhales actually activate your body's built-in tranquilizer system, the parasympathetic nervous system. It tells your body it's safe to relax. These practices give anxious thoughts somewhere to rest besides your midnight mind.
Okay, moving on from movement and rest. Let's talk about what we eat. The source asks this really provocative question. What if the answer to many of our most perplexing mental health challenges was waiting not in a pill bottle, but on our dinner plates? That's a bold statement, but it really fits with this whole idea of holistic health, doesn't it? The body's deep interconnectedness.
It does. And it raises this really important point about the profound, honestly undeniable link between our diet and our mental well-being. The source highlights this growing mountain of scientific evidence that connects the massive rise in chronic diseases and right alongside it, mental health struggles with our modern departure from ancestral eating patterns. It's a critical lens to view our modern diet through.
So basically, our bodies haven't really caught up with how we eat now, all the processed stuff.
Exactly. If you look back, the source explains, our ancestors thrived on whole, unprocessed nutrients, foods that grew or walked or swam nearby. Our bodies are these magnificent machines, fundamentally the same design as theirs, but the fuel we're putting in has transformed dramatically, often to our detriment.
Right. Running an old engine on new weird fuel.
Pretty much. We're running this finely tuned, ancient engine on highly processed, novel fuels it just wasn't designed for. But the beauty, the source reveals, is in this remarkably simple truth. Just returning to nutrient-dense whole foods, the kind your great-grandmother would recognize, can help prevent and even reverse conditions that modern medicine sometimes struggles to address.
Wow. Reverse conditions.
It points to this powerful, often overlooked self-healing capacity we have. And it's especially critical for our brains. That energy-hungry organ commanding 20% of your body's resources, it particularly craves this authentic nourishment.
Our food choices aren't just fueling our bodies, they're profoundly shaping our mental health, our emotional resilience, even our capacity for hope.
Okay, so if food choices are that crucial, how do we make better ones without getting totally overwhelmed? Complicated diets, calorie counting, trying to find weird ingredients. The source offers simple guidelines for nourishing your mind and body, right?
Yes, and they really are foundational principles, not some restrictive fad diet. They're meant to simplify things, make nourishing yourself effective and sustainable. So first, Choose foods in their natural state. This just means actively choosing to embrace whole foods as Mother Nature created them, rather than processed alternatives.
Okay, like an apple instead of apple juice.
Exactly. Or wild-caught salmon instead of processed fish sticks. The guiding principle is simple. The closer food remains to its original form, the more nutritional value it typically retains. It's about recognizing food as it's meant to be before we mess with it too much.
That makes perfect sense. Keep it simple.
Second, explore the world of fermented foods. The source suggests trying traditional options, kimchi, real pickles, sauerkraut, kefir, yogurt, maybe kombucha. These foods are getting so much attention now for supporting digestive health, which increasingly appears connected to mental wellness through what scientists call the gut-brain axis.
Ah, the gut-brain connection. We hear so much about that now.
Right. It highlights that incredible two-way street between our gut microbes and our brain health, influencing everything from mood to thinking clearly. Third guideline. Think local and seasonal. Whenever you can, choose foods grown in your region during their natural season.
Why local and seasonal specifically?
Well, partly it supports local farms, but nutritionally, local produce typically offers peak nutritional content because it's fresh, hasn't traveled far, and it also connects you to the natural rhythms around you. There's something deeply satisfying about eating strawberries in June or apples in autumn, aligning with nature cycles.
That's a lovely idea, actually, connecting food to the seasons and where you live.
And fourth, prioritize clean growing practices, basically choosing pesticide-free, chemical-free, and GMO-free options when available. The thinking is simple. Your body and mind function better when not processing unnecessary toxins alongside nutrients. It's about lessening the chemical load on our systems.
Okay, so choose whole, maybe fermented, local, seasonal, clean foods. Makes sense. But then the source introduces this other concept, the hidden fire, understanding inflammation. What's that about, and how does it connect to mental health? It sounds a bit alarming.
Yeah, hidden fire sounds dramatic, but it's a useful metaphor. What it's highlighting is chronic inflammation. Think of it as a smoldering fire inside your body that burns without obvious symptoms.
Okay, so not like when you cut yourself and it gets red and puffy.
Exactly. That's acute inflammation. The body's healthy, temporary healing response. Chronic inflammation is different. It persists for months or years, gradually damaging organs and systems, often silently, insidiously. You might not realize it's happening until symptoms of something else pop up.
So you don't necessarily feel it until it's maybe caused bigger problems.
Often, yes. And the crucial link here, which the source really emphasizes, is that this hidden fire doesn't just threaten your physical health. It directly impacts mental well-being. Study after study now links chronic inflammation not just to things like diabetes, heart disease, cancer, but specifically to depression, anxiety, and other mental health challenges.
Wow.
And the source puts it bluntly, our food choices either fan these inflammatory flames or help extinguish them. We have direct control over this internal fire through what's on our plate.
Okay, let's get specific then. This is where it gets really practical. What are the foods that fuel the fire and which ones cool the flames?
Right, this is key for putting it into action. When we talk about foods that fuel the fire, these are the inflammatory choices we want to minimize. They act like kindling, feeding that internal fire. The main culprits fall into a few categories. Big ones are refined carbohydrates and processed sugars.
Okay, like what exactly?
Think white bread, most regular pasta, pastries, chips, crackers, cookies, pretty much all sugar-sweetened drinks, sodas, even fruit juices often. These foods spike blood sugar and promote inflammatory responses. They've been stripped of fiber and nutrients, leaving mostly fast-burning sugars that just stress your system. Both cane sugar and corn syrup do this.
So that quick energy hit has a hidden inflammatory cost. It's so easy to grab those things, though.
It really is. Another big category is damaged fats, often found in margarines, butter substitutes, and many heavily processed vegetable oils. Think corn oil, canola, peanut, sunflower, grapeseed oils. These often contain trans fats and damaged fatty acids that our bodies just struggle with. They can contribute to problems at a cellular level.
Okay, damaged fats. Got it.
Which leads naturally to highly processed foods in general. Fast food, deep-fried stuff, processed meats like hot dogs, many packaged snacks and meals. They often combine multiple inflammatory ingredients. The white flour, the added sugars, and the damaged oils all together, creating particularly harmful combinations. They're built for shelf life and taste, not health.
A triple threat, basically.
Pretty much. And finally, the source mentions alcohol. While Okay, maybe occasional moderate drinking isn't disastrous for everyone. It's often best to abstain from alcohol, especially when dealing with mental health challenges. Alcohol itself can be inflammatory, disrupt sleep, interfere with medication effectiveness, and worsen depression or anxiety. It often works against mental wellness goals.
Okay, so those are the main fire starters to watch out for. What about the good guys, the foods that cool the flames? What should we be actively eating more of?
Thankfully, the source gives a fantastic list of delicious foods that actively fight inflammation while nourishing your body and brain. We should focus on getting anti-inflammatory fats, especially omega-3 rich fish, things like salmon, sardines, mackerel. These provide essential oils that cool inflammation while supporting brain function. They literally help build healthier brain tissue.
Build brain tissue, wow.
Yeah. Also, healthy high-fat fruits like avocados and olives. They give us monounsaturated fats that support brain health and help us absorb certain vitamins. And quality oils like extra virgin olive oil and unrefined coconut oil are good choices. Stable fats that support rather than inflame. Then there are whole, unprocessed carbs and fiber-rich foods. Think oatmeal, brown rice, real whole wheat bread. These provide steady energy, and the fiber feeds those beneficial gut bacteria linked to improved mood, stable fuel, and gut health.
Double win?
Definitely. And of course, nutrient-dense nuts and seeds, almonds, walnuts, pumpkin seeds, they offer healthy fats, protein, and minerals supporting brain function and emotional stability. A really powerful category is colorful vegetables and antioxidant-rich fruits. Garlic, onions, mushrooms, cauliflower, bell peppers, chili peppers, dark leafy greens like spinach, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale. They are packed with antioxidants that protect against inflammation and vitamins needed for making neurotransmitters.
Eat the rainbow, basically.
Pretty much. And similarly, fruits like tomatoes, pomegranates, and those deeply colored berries, grapes, cherries, blueberries, they actively combat oxidative stress, which fuels both physical and mental health issues. The more vibrant the color, usually the better.
It's amazing how much power is just in choosing colorful, natural foods.
It really is. And for a nice surprise,
Yeah.
pure chocolate, specifically dark chocolate and raw cacao, not sugary milk chocolate candy. It contains compounds that support mood and cognitive function. Just choose ones with low added sugar.
Dark chocolate gets a thumbs up. Good to know.
Yep. Finally, think about healing spices like turmeric, ginger, cinnamon. They offer potent anti-inflammatory compounds and make healthy food taste great. And don't forget green tea. It provides L-theanine for calm alertness, plus antioxidants.
This is incredibly detailed. It really drives home how our food choices create either a foundation for hope and resilience or an obstacle to mental wellness. It's a big responsibility, but also super empowering, right? Linking our plate directly to our peace of mind.
Absolutely empowering.
Okay, moving beyond the physical now. The deep dive turns next to the inner landscape, nurturing psychological well-being. The source says something really resonant. Unprocessed emotions don't simply vanish, but rather resurface in unexpected ways.
That just feels so true, doesn't it? The stuff we push down always seems to bubble up somehow. It really does. And what's insightful here is recognizing that real emotional well-being isn't about, avoiding difficult feelings or pretending everything's fine. Instead, it requires these thoughtful approaches to understand and navigate our inner world. It's about developing what Dr. Attalla calls emotional fluency, really. The ability to recognize, understand, and healthfully process our feelings.
Emotional fluency. Okay. How do we cultivate that?
The source offers several really accessible practices. First up, journaling. It's described beautifully as a conversation with yourself, where pen meets paper without judgment. It allows those buried emotions to surface where they can finally be addressed. It's just a safe, private space for looking inward, getting those swirling thoughts and feelings out where you can see them.
Right, getting them out of your head and onto the page, create some distance, maybe some perspective.
Exactly. Second, daily affirmations. Now, these aren't just fluffy positive thinking. They gently reshape internal dialogue. They actively help create new neural pathways that, over time, can become your mind's default thinking patterns.
So like gentle brain training.
Kind of, yeah. Nudging your mind towards more supportive, realistic self-talk. And third, meaningful connection with others. This means finding someone who truly listens, whether a trusted friend, supportive family member, or a professional counselor. Because being heard creates healing through the simple act of being witnessed in your authentic experience. Just being seen and validated can be incredibly therapeutic.
Reducing that feeling of being alone with it all.
Precisely. Then, beyond fluency, the source talks about calming body and mind, activating natural relaxation. It notes how our bodies carry wisdom about our mental state. They react dramatically to stress, but thankfully also to relaxation. These practices are proven ways to actively trigger your body's natural relaxation response, shifting you out of high alert and into calm.
So our bodies already know how to calm down. We just need to activate it.
We just need the keys. First key, meditation and mindfulness. These practices pull you back into the present moment. They create that crucial space between stimulus and response where your freedom to choose lies.
That space, that's where we stop just reacting automatically.
Exactly. You regain choice. Second key, breathing exercises. These are maybe the most portable tool for psychological regulation we have. Simple techniques, like extended exhales, directly activate your body's built-in tranquilizer system. The parasympathetic nervous system slows the heart rate, relaxes muscles. It's a direct physiological lever you can pull anytime, anywhere.
Just using your breath. Amazing.
And third, guided imagery and progressive muscle relaxation. These tools actively teach your nervous system the language of calm. They create reference points your body remembers during challenging times. You're literally training your body to relax, building a muscle memory of calm. And finally, the source looks at powerful therapeutic approaches. It acknowledges that sometimes self-help isn't quite enough. Structured therapies offer transformative frameworks for lasting change for tougher challenges.
So when self-guided stuff isn't cutting it, there are established effective methods with professional guidance.
Absolutely. One really powerful example mentioned is cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. CBT teaches you to first identify those automatic thoughts, the ones that just pop in, often negative, like, I always mess things up.
Yeah, this knee-jerk reaction.
Right. Then you learn to examine their accuracy. Ask, is it really true? I always mess up. Where's the evidence? And finally, you work to create more balanced perspectives. Maybe realizing, okay, I struggled with this, but I've succeeded at other things. This is a chance to learn. The source is clear. This is not positive thinking, but accurate thinking that breaks cycles of distress. It's about building a more realistic, helpful inner story.
Replacing unhelpful patterns with constructive ones.
Okay. And another powerful approach mentioned is dialectical behavior therapy, DBT. DBT embraces seeming contradictions, like learning to accept a difficult situation and work to change it at the same time. It gives you really concrete skills for things like distress tolerance, handling intense emotions without making things worse, emotion regulation, managing and shifting strong feelings, interpersonal effectiveness, improving relationships, and mindfulness. Together, these skills build amazing psychological flexibility, helping you respond to life's curveballs with more adaptability and resilience.
So these aren't just abstract concepts, they're real pathways to profound psychological freedom, giving people practical skills. It turns mental health from an idea into a lived experience, strengthening that psychological root.
Exactly. Empowering people with tools for real, lasting change.
Okay, let's move to another crucial root. The deep dive emphasizes the healing web, our social connections. And the source quotes John Donne, "No man is an island." That just feels so incredibly true, doesn't it? Especially today, when real connection can sometimes feel hard to find.
It really does. And this brings up a key question. Why is community considered perhaps the most vital element in our wellness journey? The source makes it crystal clear. Profound transformation rarely happens in isolation. It's just a fundamental human truth. We need each other, not just to survive, but to truly thrive and recover. We are wired for connection. It's a deep biological and psychological need.
And it's not just about having people around, right? It's the quality of the connection. That mutual support seems key.
Precisely. The source gives these powerful examples, like how the power of mutual support shines brilliantly in 12-step groups like Alcoholics Anonymous. In those kinds of spaces, shared experience creates a healing space unlike any other. People find not just understanding, but genuine inspiration from others who get it.
That shared vulnerability and strength.
Exactly. It's the mutual witnessing, the collective strength.
Yeah.
It just creates this unique healing power that shows how vital human connection is, especially when facing tough stuff. And this sense of community isn't just limited to recovery groups, of course. The source points out that community awaits in countless forms. You might find it in holistic or spiritual gatherings, local yoga classes, maybe a permaculture project, book clubs, educational settings, even at work sometimes, or volunteering.
So many places.
Yeah. Each offers unique ways to weave yourself into the fabric of human connection. It's about finding where you fit, what resonates with your interests, your values, your experiences.
It's such a good reminder that connection is a core human need, not some optional extra. And it sounds like science backs this up strongly, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Science confirms what we intuitively sense. Research consistently shows that social isolation creates measurable physiological and psychological distress. It actually harms us physically and mentally. Think increased stress hormones, inflammation.
Wow. Isolation literally hurts.
It does. And conversely, meaningful connection nurtures our well-being at the most fundamental level. It's a profound biological imperative. We are social creatures, designed to thrive in that supportive web of relationships. And that, in turn, strengthens every other part of our wellness.
Okay, finally. We arrive at what the source calls soul nourishment, the spiritual dimension. This is the flowering that emerges from those well-tended roots, the physical, psychological, social. The author actually asked patients why spirituality matters to them, and their answers sound really insightful, tapping into universal human desires.
Yeah, what's fascinating are these deep, shared human yearnings that spiritual connection seems to address, regardless of anyone's specific beliefs. Patients reported this whole rich tapestry of experiences. It often boiled down to a profound sense of peace, connection, and purpose. They said things like, I feel supported and not alone.
Yeah.
That speaks to a deep need for belonging, right? Connection beyond just the immediate.
Yeah, not being alone in the universe.
Exactly. Or, I experience peace, love, and joy. A fundamental shift in their emotional state. Many talked about discovering their true self, connecting authentically with who they are and what they value. Others found meaning in life and clarity about my personal values, which gives you that vital compass for navigating life with intention.
That sense of purpose, that guiding light, that must be incredibly powerful for resilience and well-being.
It really is. They also reported feeling a sense of purpose, which is so critical for staying motivated, especially when things get hard. And a really common theme was learning to release control to something greater than myself. That offers such freedom, right? Letting go of the burden of trying to manage everything alone, fostering trust.
Yeah, surrender.
And finally, many mentioned expanding their support network through others with similar interests, which ties right back to the social route we just discussed. The spiritual deepening social bonds. These are just universal human needs being met.
It really clarifies things, that spirituality isn't about dogma, but about authentic connection to ourselves, to others, to nature, or to whatever higher power resonates with our deepest truth. So how do people actually do this? How do they cultivate that connection day to day? What kinds of practices do the patients share?
Right, how do we engage with this practically? Well, the patients share this incredibly diverse, beautiful range of practices. It really shows there's no single right way. It's about finding authentic expression. Many talked about immersing themselves in natural settings, finding peace, perspective, connection, just being outdoors, forests, mountains, ocean.
Nature as church.
Kind of, yeah. Others use more formal practices like meditation, contemplation, or prayer paths to inner stillness, reflection, connection to something larger. Some found deep meaning by participating in meaningful ceremonies, maybe cultural, religious, or even personal rituals that mark transitions or reinforce values.
So it's really about finding what feels authentic and meaningful for you, a very personal journey.
Exactly. Many express their spiritual side through expressing their creative essence, painting, music, writing, seeing creativity as a channel for something deeper. And echoing the social piece, gathering with like-minded communities, was huge for that shared purpose and belonging. Another powerful path was offering service to others, where helping out, contributing, profoundly nourishes the soul.
Giving back nourishes you.
Absolutely. Some found their path following the 12 steps of AA, a structured spiritual program focusing on connection and community. Others embraced established religious traditions that aligned with their beliefs. And for the artistic types, creating through painting, dancing, singing, or playing instruments was a deep spiritual act, or expressing their inner world through poetry, giving voice to deep thoughts and feelings.
It's clear that all these different paths, they really lead toward the same destination, a sense of belonging to something greater than ourselves, the very foundation of spiritual well-being. Finding that connection beyond the everyday, nourishing the soul, completing that web.
Beautifully put.
Wow. Okay, what an incredible deep dive that was into Dr. Atalla's interconnected web of wellness. We've really unpacked how our physical, psychological, social, and spiritual needs aren't separate things at all. They profoundly influence each other in this dynamic, mutually reinforcing cycle. Each root nourishes the others, leading to that flowering of well-being.
Yeah, and putting it in perspective, it just underscores that well-being isn't some single fix or a simple checklist you tick off. It's a dynamic, living interplay of all these vital parts. From realizing the magic of movement, the symphony of sleep, the power of whole foods, to cultivating our inner world, embracing connection, each piece strengthens the entire structure. It's this continuous dance of growth and integration.
So for you, our listener, the really powerful message from this deep dive, I think, is clear. The journey towards wholeness, towards that integrated well-being, it is always worth taking. And crucially, remember, you don't have to take it alone. So maybe just consider, what's one small, manageable step you could take today? Just one thing to strengthen one of these roots in your own life. Maybe it's just a short walk. Maybe 5 minutes of journaling. Maybe reaching out to a friend you haven't connected with. Or maybe just taking one deep breath and connecting with something larger than yourself.
And that naturally leads to this question for you to ponder further. How might tending to just one of these foundational aspects, even with a tiny, consistent effort, how might that create a surprising ripple effect, transforming other areas of your life in unexpected, really positive ways?
We really hope this deep dive has given you some profound insights and maybe some practical inspiration too for your own journey. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep building your own interconnected web of wellness.